Everybody, welcome to another episode of Visible Kindness, and today I have a brand new friend of mine, Art Citron. You're in the media for over 25 years, media and entertainment. Yes. What's so interesting is you're an Emmy award-winning director and editor, and I would like to hear the story about that because I haven't really heard how that happened. Start us off with who you are and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your upbringing that got you into where you are today, because it's really quite remarkable.
Okay, well, my name is Art Citron. Born in the Bronx, grew up in Philly, South Jersey. Was a young kid, graduated early from high school to go into, thinking to go into medicine. And realized first year, didn't want to do that. Took several years off to figure out what I wanted to do. Finally, eventually got a job working in a graphic design company and realized at that point, that's what I wanted to do. And grew up in a family where my father was very abusive, so he didn't really believe in anything I was doing. He didn't really like himself, so he didn't like me. One day I decided I want to go to college. I wanted to, become a graphic designer. And told my parents, and they said, "You're too stupid to go to college."
Wow,
did it anyway.
You like those words were actually used? You got to be kidding me.
Oh no, my parents,
Holy
my father especially,
man.
was a very unhappy man about his life.
Wow.
And took it out on me. So I literally, it took me a while to really get the bravery to do it, but I did it, and I created a portfolio, and I'm working in Philadelphia, and I walked to the University of Arts, or at that point it was the Philadelphia College of Art. Carried my portfolio in 2 weeks before school started. Applied, got in that day, and was accepted, and paid with money that I saved from my bar mitzvah. So I paid for school, got my first year in, did it, and just kept, perpetuating that. Then I went to grad school. I went to Cal Arts for grad school, and I went to I was in the directing, theater, film, and video department. Learned a lot of great things. Wanted to be a director. And was in a great program with Alexander McKendrick, who was the director of Sweet Smell of Success, The Lady Killers, Man in the White Suit. And Rudy Fair was my other mentor, and he was an editor who edited Pritzi's Honor and Dial M for Murder, among other things. And one day I was walking through Cal Arts, it was just before the Christmas break, and Rudy and Sandy were in their office getting drunk and invited me in. I hung out with these two old legends, and they said, "What do you want to do when you get out of school?" It's like, "I'm in a directing program, Sandy. What do you think I want to do?" So they said, "Okay, when you come back, we're going to get you in touch with this other old-time editor, Fima Novak. You're going to learn how to edit, because if you learn how to edit, you'll be a great director." So when I came back, I was doing intern work with this guy on upright moviolas, film, actual film. We're editing in film. And if you look back here,
not digital, right?
This is not the one, but this is what we were editing on.
Wow.
It's all film, and you hand spliced it, taped it, and watching this man move, and he was at that time probably in his 80s, and he moved around like he was a ballet dancer. He was incredible.
Wow.
And I learned everything about editing, and I fell in love with it. That I basically stuck with editing and directing, and just really loved that part of it. And moved to New York after living in California for several years, did some features there, started doing television, and moved down to Philadelphia, continued in television and some film, and then did some documentaries. And now here I am. You and I are working on a documentary about a young man who sings Frank Sinatra stuff and is a powerhouse and an obsessive person about Frank Sinatra, to the point where he has a collection of things Sinatra, including 12 or 11 songs that were not songs, but the sheet music, the arrangements written for Frank and Count Basie by Quincy Jones and Billy Byers. And he got the rights to it because his trombonist is Billy Byers' son. And he recorded an album. And I was brought on to shoot this thing and edit this thing. And it's been a passion project. And now you're on this thing. And we're going to make this thing happen. And it's just it's magic. It really is. I enjoy the process and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the work because the work is for me. An obsessive compulsion as well because I could sit there for 12 hours and perfect my little cuts. Then take a frame off there, add a frame there, to the point where it's like it becomes a religion. It is a religion.
I mean, I want to have you on the podcast for a couple things. One, we're becoming friends more and more. I'm looking forward to meeting the whole team. I'll be in Atlantic City at the super. What's it called? The super.
Superstar Theater in the Resorts International.
Yes, so why don't you talk about that event that's coming up? Bring the audience into what is happening.
The band it's an 18-piece orchestra. It's like a Count Basie style band. Brandon is the singer, and he sings Frank Sinatra music, but he's not an imitator. He sings in his own voice, but he loves this music and he wants to keep it alive. And when he got the rights to that, they actually called Quincy Jones. Said, Quincy, we want to
that's
get the rights. That's
mind-boggling for me. When I first heard that, I thought, called Quincy Jones? It's like, I've listened to Quincy Jones for decades. I remember. Yeah. I listened to people from that era a lot. They called Quincy Jones. So I'm sorry, this is such a great story.
And basically they wanted to keep this music alive. So, Billy Byer's son, he's a trombonist. He came out to play in the recording of the album. He was featured as the lead trombonist in it. They played a concert in Collingswood, New Jersey, and then they planned to do this concert in Atlantic City to basically release it. And it's a full circle for Brandon because the Superstar Theater in Resorts is the place where Frank Sinatra sang it. He was featured there, among other people. The people from that era. Everyone, Barbra Streisand on down, but he played there. And when Brandon was a 16-year-old kid, this is when he really started singing. He was singing in a lounge outside the theater. And the owner of the hotel heard him sing and gave him, at a 16-year-old kid, a 6-month residency to play in the Superstar Theater. And so I
didn't even know that until now. That is incredible. What an opportunity.
An amazing opportunity. So here's this kid staying in a hotel in Atlantic City and singing in this amazing arena. It's 1,000 and almost 1,100 seat, theater. It's amazing. What's his name? Merv Griffin owned the theater, and he was doing things there, and it was just this incredible, amazing place. And he sang there, and he did this stuff, and we went back recently just to him to talk to them about giving us this room, and they all love him. They still love him because he's this personable, amazing guy. So this album was recorded in a place in Pennsauken, which is also a character in this thing because this place is called the Soundplex, and the Soundplex was a factory that was built for RCA Victor. They built or held the components for the Victrolas. And when it closed down, what's his name? Bandstand. What's the guy from Bandstand?
Oh yeah, I was on his dance floor in Miami just before it went off the air. Dick Clark. I've been on Dick Clark's Bandstand. I'll have to put a clip on this when I'm spinning on the floor. Oh my gosh!
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Dick Clark owned this building.
Wow.
And then when he died, this guy George Cook took over this building, and there was a recording studio in there. He upgraded it. It's now one of the largest recording studios on the East Coast, and it's this professional, amazing room. But it's all this other stuff. So this has this history to it. They recorded this album there live. That means all the band members were sitting next to each other, playing, so recording. So this is incredible. The energy that you felt in that room. It's like you're in a live concert. It was amazing. So they recorded this album. They released it. They made a concert. And now he's making this full circle concert in the same room that he sang in, the same room that Frank sang in, and
Were
it's going to be incredible.
some of the pictures in that clip that you made where he is talking about? I think he's talking about that, and he's showing pictures on the wall. Is that what those pictures are of? When
Yeah.
they were, you know what? Let's take a look at that. Let's show everybody that video so they can see what we're talking about, because hearing what we're talking about is way different than what you're about to see. Let's take a look at it.
It's easy to remember, but so hard to forget.
We are not at a deficit for music.
I'll always love you. I know it's over, and yet
And you need to understand, this is all handwritten. So nowadays, when we get a chart, like if you look at anything that was written for me, it's all computer. And it looks like this, but to have the handwritten, and these are copies of what he traveled with. They said, how did you come across these? And I said, I was bored. Billy May wrote an overture that I believe was called the Big Band Overture for Frank. And I had typed in Billy May arrangements. There's a Billy May collection at Library of Congress. And then I started looking, wait, if they have Billy May, so I typed in Nelson Riddle, Billy Byers, and your dad's came up with the biggest collection. And I looked through it and wrote down everything, and that's when I thought, I got no shot of getting into the Library of Congress. They're not going to give me, they just don't give you, usually have to have research or whatever. So I called a friend of mine, Tom Knox, and I said, do we have a connection at Library of Congress? And he said, I'm on the board. He hooked me up with the woman that runs the music department, and she said, just email me, we can scan them for you. And here they are.
A lot of these things I haven't seen since my sister's cat had babies on them. You know, it's funny, I see pictures of people at the Library of Congress, they're handling them with gloves and thinking, oh yeah, those are the charts. The cat had babies on her, the dog ripped out of a box to lay on top of.
Wow.
And, he never really liked to keep anything.
Sure.
So I would ask him, why don't you have any of your own charts? He said, I heard them.
That stack right there is what we're going to record. In 1965, Sinatra was touring and traveling with the Count Basie Band with the intent to end up at the Sands Casino to record the Live at the Sands album. Billy Byers and Quincy Jones were tasked with taking songs that he had done and either reorchestrating them to work with just the standard big band, or songs he had never done and do them in a Basie style. And during that tour, they were being road tested on which ones would get used and be recorded for the album. I called you and I said, we have an opportunity to go to the Soundplex and do this record with a full big band with the original Billy Byers arrangements.
That was the hook, yeah. When you mentioned that you had access to this, like the Holy Grail, the stuff that was written and hadn't been recorded professionally, some of it had been done live or what have you, it tied in perfectly with what we did.
Oh yeah.
With it.
That was amazing. That was the first thing I saw. This is incredible. I actually, I didn't really think like I'm thinking now. When I say that, I didn't realize what I've really come to know about him and you and George and the whole team that's putting this together. It is really something else. This is the first time we've really talked at this level about what's going on.
Well, I mean, the guys in this band are all professionals. They've been playing together for years, and a couple of guys in the band actually played with Frank Sinatra. So that's an amazing thing. And these guys are older, probably in their 70s, maybe 80s. And, they have this young heart because this music, it's alive.
And his personality, he's got such a great personality as well. Yeah. He's such a nice guy.
Well, he's amazing because he was, and I'm putting this in the documentary as well, he was raised by his grandfather, who's now in his 90s, who moves around like he's a 20-year-old. He's this amazing person, and because his mother was murdered when he was a baby. And his father didn't really, he was more of an absentee father. So he just basically allowed the grandparents to take over the raising of of his son. And he grew up in this house of love and of Frank Sinatra, of a love for Frank Sinatra too. And One day he was, going through a book about Frank, and there's a picture in this book of from behind Frank at the 500 Club, singing or talking to the audience, and like you're seeing from behind him, and in the audience is one of his co-stars from Guys and Dolls, and right next to her is his grandmother, and he went, "What the heck is this?" It's like, oh yeah, and there's, they showed him all the stuff that he gave to her because she met him, a packet of cigarettes that he had, that he gave her, a signed autographed photograph, just things like that. So he, of course, then became obsessed with that. And there's other things. This guy, Brandon, is this guy who, he's one of those guys that, he'll buy a toy, play with it for like a day, keep it in the box and preserve it. So that's his nuttiness with everything. So he's got this stuff with Frank. He has the catalog, not the catalog, but the book for the jet that Frank owned.
Oh my gosh, that's the first I heard that. Wow.
Yeah, he's got this stuff that's just like insane. He's got other things that I'm trying to see if I could talk about, but just because there's some things that are almost too personal.
Sure. That
he has. And he's got these just incredible things. And his obsession with Frank, and this is how he discovered these songs. He was looking through, music. What can I have? Let me look at all these people, and he discovered these songs at the Library of Congress, and he got the rights to it. And how he got the access to it is a friend of his is a congressman who's on the board of directors at the Library of Congress, and he got the introduction to get it. They sent it to him, these copies, and they're literally these handwritten, not once he got her copies, but these handwritten charts for the arrangements that were like handwritten by Billy Byers. And it was just, incredible finds for him. And then, I told the story, getting the rights to it, recording this album, which was, an amazing thing to see and to be a part of. And this is all on tape. And putting this thing together to make, to make this album from soup to nuts, from rehearsal to the mixing and the recording in between.
I wanted to mention, because I can see us doing more than just this episode, and one of the big reasons we wanted to do this was because we need to raise money for the show. What we're doing is two fundraising campaigns. One to get us off the ground, to look after what needs to get paid up front, like bands, filmmakers, and then the second one is when it comes to creating the documentary, the editing and the marketing and getting it into the culture, and getting it ready to market. And so right now, because it depends when you listen to this podcast, but right now, between now and July 25th, where it'll take off the show in Atlantic City, we need to do what's called seed fundraising, which we're looking for investors, not people that would like to donate some money. That's going to be live on the 25th. It is a really good opportunity for people to put money into this, and there's a scale of different types of investments you can put into it. The bottom line is we need help. We need help. This is way too big of an opportunity. This is very, very, very unique in what it is, and very unique in who Brandon is. So yeah, it's really going to be something. I want to also ask you, looking at this thing in the background, is that your Emmy sitting there?
It is.
Can you grab that and show it to everybody? Yeah. Look at that. I mean, look at that. That's incredible.
I'd like to introduce you to Emmy. This is Emmy.
Oh,
say hi. Hi, Emmy. Hi.
That is something else, man. That is something else.
That was a surreal day. When we won, we went up to New York. It was at a big room in one of the hotels in New York City, like top floor, like penthouse thing. And Emerald was the host of the show. And I had met Emerald a couple times before because I did a lot of stuff for the Food Network. And when they announced the people who were up for it, we were one of the 6 places that won. Another company won, and who I actually met, one of the editors on that team, and someone who I had worked with afterwards, like years later. We won the Emmy same night. But when they won, they went off and it's like, all right, well, we got invited up here. So I guess, oh, well, whatever. And then the guy who did the presentation said, I made a mistake. There's two winners in this. They were co-winners. And so he announced that, and I knew right away we won. And then he announced this, we went up, got him, and all that. And, Emerald shook my hand and everything, probably doesn't remember me, but that was a very surreal moment. We're walking through and everything was like slow motion, and I'm walking through and thank you, congratulations. It was like one of those really weird moments. And that was a beautiful experience. And there was a bunch of friends who I'm still friends with. This is a company I worked for years ago, Banyan Productions, which is no longer in existence, but just a wonderful experience to be a part of it with a great team. And I want to do it again. I want to do it again with this, either Emmy or Oscar, whatever this thing's going to be. Because this is an amazing team, too. What's amazing about this is like the people that I'm working with, the camera guys, nobody's gotten paid for this thing. And this camera crew, Keystone Pictures, I've known these guys for almost 30 years. And we worked at Banyan together, and they started out like the same time I did. And it was just an incredible group of people, and they're doing this for free with the knowledge, the hope, and not hope, the thought, we're going to get this money and I'm going to pay them because they really believe in this thing, because they love the music. They were blown away by this. They didn't expect the concert to be so good. And how they shot this thing. I mean, you guys are consummate professionals, and they're so experienced that they know how to shoot stuff like this. And they just shot this. They shot the heck out of it. We had 6 cameras manned by 6 amazing people shooting this concert. It was fantastic. And we're gonna repeat it. We're gonna do it again with this one. And this one's gonna be better because of the storyline in this thing. And it's gonna just really it's gonna blow people's minds, because the concert is gonna be an incredible. It's basically, most of this documentary is building up to this concert, and then we're gonna show the concert, and it's gonna be wonderful. It's wonderful to see what they're doing.
As we're coming to the end here, I definitely wanted to talk about, have people get to know who you are. And there's so much more to you than just a quick podcast with just getting to know you and then hearing what you're doing, and then talking. We wanted to talk about the documentary because we really need to raise money over the next campaigns that are coming up, and people are going to hear about it a lot from all of us. But I like to ask my guests a question like this, because the show is about kindness, and everything you're telling me about, there's so much kindness that's woven into everything you're talking about, even in years gone by and to present day. So I like to ask, if you could think, it's kind of there's 2 ways you can choose how to answer this. If you can think of an act of kindness you've either done in a situation, it could be a situation or to a person, or just kindness on any level, that you're giving out, or that you've received, that you could share with us, or if there's an act of kindness that you want to put out to an individual or to a situation, how would you answer that question?
Well, I mean, honestly, everything I do is about kindness. I mean, I'm going to even take it to a bigger word to me is love. The universe was created on the word love. Love is God. Love is the universe. And if you're not giving love, you're not going to receive love. So everything I do is just giving love. And I'm giving all of my heart, because that's where your love comes from. That I'm giving all of my heart to everything I do, and to be of service. And my service that I've discovered for me is to entertain, to inspire, and to educate people through the medium of film and television. And I've been doing that as an act of love, unknowingly, up until more recently, for 25 years. I'm really giving that thing to spark something in people. People watch movies, they watch television, and most of it is garbage. It's reality crap. But when you do something that you really believe in, that's a wonderful thing that will touch people's heart, you're giving that love to them. And to me, that's for me the ultimate in life, the ultimate in everything. And it's to give that love and give of yourself. And everyone's unique, and everyone gives their own skills and their own skill set and their own gift to the world. And this is just part of my gift that I want to give to the world. Is creating this film is right now my compulsive, passionate love that I want to give to the world. Showing Brandon's story, showing this film, releasing this music to the world to have people really enjoy it. And also helping my friends. I have a bunch of friends who are working on this thing for free, and I want to get them paid. I've been doing this for a year, unpaid, but these guys have also been doing it. I'm letting them get money before I get money, because it's like I want them to reap some of the rewards as well and make this film happen. That's really But to me, it's all about love. It's all about love. It's all about giving. It's all about giving of yourself. And that's the ultimate to me.
Well, I got to say again, I first of all, thank you for being on the show. This has been so great, and I look forward to doing more. The more episodes we make are going to be so interesting, because we probably won't do one until after the show, and that's just going to be an epic experience in itself. And it's been a real pleasure for me getting to know you and Brandon and George, and I look forward to. I can't believe I'm going to. When I booked my flight yesterday, I was like, wow, I'm actually going to this, and I'm actually going to do this, and I look forward to it. It's been a real pleasure knowing you just as a new friend, and I look forward to the days to come. So, thank you so much, Art, for being here, and I look forward to it. This is really going to be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is wonderful. Love it.